We're back with Bobby and JG Radio. We're speaking with Mark Gottsberger. He is the CEO of VEST 3D. VEST stands for the Virtual Education Simulated Training Program. It's vest3d.com. You can also reach him at 210-219-2785. Again, that's 219-2785. So let's start where we left off. So you have 9 objectives that you're trying to kind of focus on, but tell me a couple of them and why you've chosen them.
Sure, great. Okay, so like the first one is pretty much a no-brainer. It's understanding the importance of customer satisfaction and retention. So as we talked about earlier, it is a lot cheaper to keep a customer, and sometimes the people in the forefront of customer service, they don't really get the bigger picture. They're just told to go do this and go do that. I think if we can empower them to understand what they can do to create customer retention and customer loyalty, it's really going to help them be a lot more successful. Another topic we have is handling criticism. In today's world, customers are becoming pretty aggressive because they realize they can go other places and they can be abrasive to poor people that are doing customer service. So we try to teach them some skills because you can actually effectively change a complaining customer into a loyal customer if you've actually been properly trained.
Sure.
And then the last one is really effective communication, converting service into sales. A lot of salespeople are not trained on how to professionally and effectively communicate. So we feel that skill is kind of critical for them. If they know what to say, ultimately they'll do a better job at saying it.
Sure. So what are some of the benefits of this training you feel that for like corporations that have multiple locations?
Okay, that's a good question. A great question, actually. So we actually did an interview or a demo with a client. She had some employees here in San Antonio, and she had several employees in Mexico. And what she was looking for was a comprehensive, cohesive training. So what the benefit provides is, obviously it's low cost for travel, different things like that, but the organization actually gets a cohesive training. So all of their customer service reps have the same training. Everyone's off the same sheet of music, and it really does sponsor that corporate image that the company's trying to manifest.
I'm glad you brought that up. That corporate continuity is kind of lacking, I think, in a lot of industries, and so this is easy to have everyone on the same page. So if you're a business owner that has multiple locations in Mexico and here, you want everyone to treat the customer in the same way.
Right.
And this is the easy way to do that, and it's very cost effective, right?
Yes, and it's that branded message you're trying to get, so you have that continuity.
So why is customer service so important?
It's a good question. Customer service, as I said, is really becoming, seeing a huge resurgence as the customers have more and more choice. A big part of that is becoming a global market. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, your choices were limited. In today's environment, I can literally go any country, anytime, anywhere, and buy a service. So as the world becomes smaller, how well you do customer service is going to become huge. You have choices now. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, doesn't matter what you're buying. You can literally buy it almost anywhere at any time.
So how long do these trainings last usually?
Okay, so what we try to do is we actually have, for our customer service training class, it's actually broken out over 3 days.
Okay.
We have 6 different time spots that the employer can choose from. So if these people are shift employees or whatever they want to do, if they want to do training before or after work, they can choose to do that. And we break it out over 3 days. And much like I said earlier, the importance of that is we want to give them small, bite-sized pieces of information the employees can actually absorb, and literally the subconscious will process that overnight, and the next day they can actually begin to start utilizing the techniques they've already learned.
And how big do these classes get?
Actually, great question. We like to keep them small because the employees are actually interacting in the curriculum. We like to keep the class size between 11 to 12 employees, and then they'll have one instructor live.
Because after that, it turns into Grand Theft Auto, right?
Yes, and then we just don't want people sitting on the
Finally.
sidelines. Yeah, finally. There's no guns issued here. They don't sit on the sidelines and just watch. We really want them to become involved. That's why.
And you were saying that some of these students end up running around the class and high-fiving.
They do.
He was also mentioning in the green room earlier before the show that a lot of these, what's the word, kind of quiet
Introverts?
people, yeah. They kind of come out when there's an avatar, right?
They do. It's pretty funny. And you got to remember, younger generation now, people entering the workforce have grown up on technology. They've had avatars for their video games, their presence online is almost always represented by an avatar. But even the most shy people that won't talk to you, once you get them in this environment.
Tell us what an avatar is, because a lot of people, some older people are listening to this, They don't know what an avatar is. We keep mentioning it.
It's a digital representation of a human being. So our avatars have very lifelike faces. They're dressed, of course, in business casual. And then it's an equal level playing field for everyone who enters it. You don't have to worry about
So
your
Bobby's would be like
size.
Easter Island. It would just be like this head sticking sticking out of the ground.
So I
2
don't have
feet
to make
tall.
myself as good looking as I am in real life.
Yeah, whatever.
Right.
So who leads these trainings, by the way, and
Okay.
what are the options that your consumers have?
Okay, yeah. So right now, all classes are led, and they have a live instructor in there with an avatar with them. Again, we want the benefit of being able to get that immediate response. If you say something, we can immediately work with you and make sure you understand the material. My instructors, I like to qualify them. They have to have at least a master's degree, and I'm really looking
Sorry, Bob.
forward.
Sorry.
Yeah. So.
You're out.
We'll talk about that
No
later.
doctorate?
No. No. I like to have them at least a master's degree, and I like them to have at least 2 years teaching in a corporate or university environment.
Okay, and so let's kind of explain this virtual experience. So walk me through a normal training process.
First thing you would do, you guys would all show up at the same time, hopefully. We would take you into the room, and you get to pick your avatar. So that we have a wide selection of avatars. You get to choose one. You can either find one that looks like you or find one that doesn't look like you.
Sure.
You get to choose that. Once we do a little tech check on you, make sure I can hear you, you can move around. First thing, then we'll go into a room where we'll actually share some information with them. We want to shop the employees. What is your basic knowledge of this? What do you understand about that? And we're going to communicate with them a little bit about what we want to train them on.
Right.
From there, we'll go right into one of the airports or hotel lobbies, and they'll actually begin doing the actual scenarios.
So the scenarios, let's say, like if you're talking about customer service, you would actually create a scenario where one avatar student is the person complaining, the other one is the person getting the complaints, and then there's someone waiting in line watching these two people get complaints, right?
Absolutely, and one of them could be the manager. But it's interesting when you have people recite their perspective. So how did the person complaining feel? How did the person giving the service? How is the person watching and observing this? What impact did they take? It's neat to get it from all different perspectives.
Sure. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Mark Gottsberger with VEST 3D. That's virtual education simulated training. He's going through his avatar virtual training process. So what is the retention difference between kinetic and audio and visual that you've heard about?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, there's a lot of studies done on this, and for exact quotes, you'd have to really do an extensive research. But generally speaking, you will lose 90% of what you learn in an environment where you're just listening to someone present. Even adding audio and visual to it, your retention rate, you're going to lose a lot of that. So if you spend $156 billion a year on corporate training, which is what we're doing right now in America,
Sure.
and you think about losing 90% of that within 30 days, that's a great drain on resources. With kinetic learning, you're much more likely to retain it and more importantly, even learn it. We want to get past the threshold of retaining and get into the concept of I actually learned it and now I can take it with me.
So, Mark, how does your training help create teamwork?
That's a good question. Because we involve employees either at the location or sometimes in different locations, it is an actual experience. You will walk away from this as though you've been somewhere and done something with your teammates. And because it is role-playing, they don't just sit in a classroom and listen. So they get to interact with their friends, they get to interact with their coworkers, and they'll walk away from this as a shared experience.
And so I'm glad you said that. We have game nights all the time, and I invite this one friend of mine, and Bobby hates this guy. And no matter what we know about the game
I know what you're talking about. I
don't
hate him. He's always on. Yeah, I don't want him on my team.
Yeah, but every time later on when we talk about that game night, we can't remember what was served, what kind of food, or who was too tipsy or not. What do we remember, dude? How this guy messed up.
How bad he played the game.
Yeah, and how much we were laughing at the experience of that dude going and doing Pictionary because he's god-awful terrible. And this is kind of the same concept, right?
It is.
Out of all of that, all the hours of game nights that we've ever had, all we remember is like the dude messing up and us laughing.
How he couldn't draw a boot.
A boot. How do you not draw a boot?
Draw a boot.
You just draw a boot and we win the game.
Yeah, that's it, huh?
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is kind of the same concept. It's what we remember is because we experienced
Yes.
that certain, experience. So when in that scenario where you have a virtual complaint, you'll start to talk about, your experiences on it, and then you'll start to joke around, and then it creates camaraderie and team building. And that's what they take away from this experience versus a booklet sitting down PowerPoint.
Absolutely. And you're exactly right. I mean, you used to see these kids. They jump up on the table, they run around in circles. And naturally, we're going to have hilarious moments where we you didn't say the right thing or it didn't come out right. And every time we get in there, it's exciting. And like you say, they do retain it as though they were physically there. They can recall what the room looked like. what their avatar friends look like. It's as though you were actually in the experience.
So can your training be customized to individual or each business, or or what is the concept like?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, because of the virtual technology we're using, we can customize it to actually look like the exact hotel lobby if you wish us to. There's no real limitations to how we can customize this. We tried to present a course that didn't need a lot of customization, obviously for price and time.
Sure.
But we can customize this however the client wants to really almost any degree.
And how will the business owner, real quick, know that this is working?
That's a good question. We ask ourselves all the time, what's the quantifiable aspect of this? You should see an immediate response in your employees providing customer services confidence and their ability to relate and communicate to their employees.
Awesome. So, Mark, if they want to get a hold of you, they go to vest3d.com or they can go to 210-219-2785. This is a great show, business development. Check it out on bobbyandjzradio.com and become a fan of the show. See you next week. Bye.